Evolving over the recent years, but it's culminated in the Ukraine conflict, the takeover of Crimea and the current conflict in eastern Ukraine. If you look, obviously there were allies during the Second World War, but during the Cold War there was a parting. For nearly 45 years, there were enemies, the Soviet bloc and the countries of the West. And then basically, with the fall of the Soviet Union, there was an improvement of relationships in the 90s, the early 2000s. But in recent, and you also saw close ties between NATO and Russia with many programs like Partnership for Peace. But what happened is that in recent years, there's been an unfolding, and a lot of it comes down to mutual threat perceptions, and one needs to overcome them, and that's a huge gap. There's threat perceptions, and that's very much a psychological, but also factual. If you look, for example, in recent years, the West sees Russia in many ways as being an aggressor in recent years. They look at the situation, what happened in Georgia, what you call frozen conflicts, and these frozen conflicts have played a part into this. And also in recent times, as relations have soured, you also see incursions, Russian military incursions, aerial, by air, by sea, and also by land. Many particular areas like in the Baltic Sea, and many of the neighbors form like the Baltic states, they're now members of the European Union and NATO, and many former Soviet states fear, there's a real fear of Russia. And a lot of what's taking place in eastern Ukraine, this takeover, and the takeover in Crimea, plays very much into that. It's enforced sense of threat perception on both sides. If you look at Stalin, and Putin, it's the classic cult of personality. If you go through Russian history also, there's always been that strong figure. Back in the days of the empire was the Tsar. But in terms of Russia today and Putin, how he sees himself and how he sees Russia, he will do whatever is necessary to secure Russian interest, be it economic, commercial, diplomatic, and also Russian-speaking peoples throughout areas of the former Soviet Union. He did so in Georgia. He's doing now in eastern Ukraine. Russians have a deep sense of historical, they view themselves within a deep historical context, going back centuries. They see themselves as basically the standard bearers of Christian Orthodoxy, the standard bearers of the Slavic peoples, and also it's not just that they see themselves in terms of a nation. They see themselves, many of them, and particularly Putin and the leadership in the Kremlin, see Russia in terms of a great civilization, and that's a major difference from just plain nationalism.